Okay. So we're supposed to study from this heading, use your affirmations as a guide for change. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so please, alphabetically, we start from Alan. Alan, would you please start?
Yes, which paragraph?
From the heading, use your affirmations as a guide for change. Skip the first two paragraphs.
Okay. Yes, affirmation can be powerful self-help tool, but just saying them is only part of the process.
Okay. So
Okay.
affirmations can be a powerful self-help tool, but just saying them is only part of the process. So could you paraphrase this sentence? I mean, put it in your own words. Who can paraphrase it? Because I cannot wait for... You know, paraphrase means reinterpret.
I can try.
Okay.
Affirmations can help you, but just saying them, it's not enough for them to work.
Good. You know, this is a good technique. Paraphrasing or rephrasing actually is a very good technique in order to just become more fluent, to practice speaking. If you don't have enough language partners, if you don't have a person to practice English with orally, I mean through speaking and listening, so you can actually improve your speaking with your own help by reading something and trying to paraphrase that read material. Okay, so even we're going to practice this technique a lot in our classes, so you're responsible for paraphrasing any single sentence that you read. I might not get the chance to ask you to do so, but actually you can do it on your own.
Okay.
All right, so affirmations need to be coupled with action in order to be truly effective. And coupled with means, who knows?
Combine, I think.
Combined or mixed with. Very good. You need to practice collocations as well. So this is a good and ideal way of just reading. In so doing, you just read, you practice reading comprehension. On the other hand, if one of the participants, including me, actually makes any mispronunciation or mispronounces something, you are supposed to correct me. And sometimes I try to mispronounce words intentionally to test your awareness. And so, for instance, I should say coupled with, and you're supposed to correct me. And so pronunciation could also be practiced. Vocabulary is practiced with the help of focusing on antonyms, synonyms, parts of speech, collocations. So, and if you just try to write comments, actually, that could also help you to improve your writing. So in order to be truly effective, okay, it's really easy, nothing to it. So next.
Okay. Is it my turn or?
No, Nastasia.
Use your affirmation as a guide for the change you want to bring about in your life.
Okay. Bring about as a phrasal verb, and it means?
It means cause something or Make it to happen.
Make it to happen or make it happen?
Make it happen.
Yes. To trigger, to cause, and to effect. There's a difference between affect as a verb and effect as a verb. So affect means to have an influence. Many people actually don't know that. So if you know that, you will be different. So affect and effect as verbs have relatively different meanings. Affect means to have an influence on, and effect means to produce a result. So here bring about means to effect in your life. And take actions to pursue. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question. Affect, I suppose, is different from effect, right?
Yes, let me write them.
With A, I think.
Yeah, the first one is affect with a schwa, and the second is effect with short e.
Okay, thank
You're welcome. And also it's your turn.
you. Use your affirmation as a guide for the change you want to bring about in your life.
Okay,
Can
next
I
sentence.
finish it?
Yes.
Then take action to pursue that change, because it was short sentence after it.
No, that was your turn, because actually the previous sentence was read by Anastasia. Okay, then take actions to pursue. Pursue means
Chase, achieve, or
yes.
follow something to get it.
Very good. Yes, to pursue means to follow, chase that change. Okay, let me use my notes. With the help of that Chrome extension I was talking about, Digo, actually, and also if you happen to watch the video podcast of this class, you will notice that I have written some comments and I use them. And you can also do that. When you read something, you can take notes. This is different from, actually, we have two types of reading from this point of view: active reading and passive reading. So if you happen to annotate, take notes, write something, highlight, so this reading will change to a kind of active reading. So according to this paragraph, if you just repeat some random or some even actually beautiful sentences every day, it's not going to help you. You need to just put them into action, and otherwise that would be wool gathering, daydreaming, and wishful thinking. These are three somehow idiomatic expressions, or some noun phrases or something that you might like to know. Wool gathering, wishful thinking, and daydreaming. Okay, so let's continue. This is a heading: write out your affirmations in addition to saying them. Also, I have this question for you. Why do we have saying instead of say after in addition to? So what's wrong with that to here? Because generally after to we use an infinitive.
I think there are some couple of exceptions, some kind of verbs. For example, make should be in present continuous form after infinitive verbs, but I'm not sure if I'm talking about the right grammar.
Not exactly, but thank you for trying.
Is it a noun?
Which one?
Saying.
Oh, saying is a noun phrase, so it is not a verb. But my question is that, for example, say I like to go, and I don't say I like to going. So why don't we have saying and not say, in addition to say, for example?
Is it infinitive verb?
Infinitive is the bare form of the verb, without ing, without ed, without any past irregular form. So it is not an infinitive, it is a gerund. Gerund is verb plus ing. So my question is that why don't we have an infinitive that is just say after in addition to? Okay,
I don't know.
the answer is that to here is a preposition, and to also, after I want to know about that, is a linking, let's say relative linking. So it is intended to link two verbs, so it's not a preposition. You must know the difference between them, and there are many other examples. For example, pay attention to studying or reading this pamphlet. Here you cannot say pay attention to read. Or I object to focusing on this project. Object to as a verb, again actually phrasal verb after to, because it is a preposition. You need to use actually a gerund. So whenever a verb has to be used after a preposition, the verb changes to a gerund. This is a rule. And here we also have this rule.
Okay.
Okay, so the function of to here is a preposition. Okay, so let's continue with Alan.
Yes. In addition to saying your affirmation every day, write them out when you have a moment.
Okay, the same thing. In addition to saying your addition, what other conjunctions can you use instead of in addition? In addition to. Any other conjunction?
Instead of is a good conjunction.
Yes, instead of. Instead of also is a good conjunction. Apart from
Repetition.
that, pardon me? I couldn't hear you.
Repetition.
No, repetition, no. Repetition is not a conjunction. First, you should know about conjunction. Moreover, yes, moreover actually is another one. Furthermore, additionally, what's more, these are some other conjunctions. You need to know a lot of conjunctions so that you will be able to use them interchangeably. And so, in addition to, additionally, apart from that, aside from that, and so on and so forth. So your affirmation every day, write them out. So it means write them down when you have a moment. For write them out, instead of that, you could also say annotate, write them down, jot them down, J-O-T, jot them down, or even take them down. Okay, these are some other synonyms. All right, so let's continue. Let me see. This provides different mental feedback than saying your affirmations, which may help to further reinforce your goals and strengths. Okay, provide mental feedback. So then saying your affirmations, which may help to further here is an adverb, so it means actually more than this, even more. Reinforce your goals and strengths. For reinforce I can say strengthen. solidify, consolidate. These are some actually vocabulary you might just use interchangeably in this context. Solidify, consolidate, and I said so another verb, strengthen, yes. Fortify is another verb. And if you want to excel at IELTS, particularly the academic module, you need to know a lot of academic vocabulary so that you could use them in your essays and also in the interview. And also for the reading part, you must know a lot of academic vocabulary. Okay, so next.
Sorry, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
How can we find out which kind of vocabs are more useful in academic IELTS, or which kind of vocabs are more useful in general IELTS?
There is no such a clear-cut answer to this question, but actually academic vocabulary has something to do with writing, assessment, analysis, science, and not very much idiomatic expressions. There are many people actually who just want to know idioms and they memorize many idioms, and believe it or not, idioms cannot help you very much, because idioms actually tend to differ even actually from one state of the United States to the other. And some people in one state are not completely well acquainted with actually some idioms that are dominant in one state. So I don't mean that you should not know any idiom, but we're talking about priorities, and for sure you must know the most frequently used idioms. But do not just try to use, for example, in your essay you should not use many idioms. Did you know about that? And because actually idioms tend to be really informal, and in your essays, particularly as an academic candidate, you should not overuse idioms. So the best way to replace them is to use academic vocabulary. And believe it or not, our website is very enriched with academic vocabulary in context. That is the difference. Do not memorize a list of vocabulary just repeatedly like a parrot. You need to read and study vocabulary in context. Otherwise, it is useless. And also try to use them in your speech and also in your writing.
And here it comes my second question. For example, personally, I know many vocabs. When it's time for me to use them, I just don't know I can use them. How let me say better. I know them, but I forget to use them. How can I fix that?
Yeah, because your vocabulary is just passive vocabulary. It has not just reached for the active level of vocabulary. So the best way is to use them. So you have memorized it because of some
well, I really watch many things and read many stuff, but I don't write or speak a lot.
Yeah, this is actually just receptive skills and not productive skills. It is just limited to the receptive skills. As you said, listening and reading, but not speaking and writing. When you speak and write, you try to use them and produce some sort of language, and you must just try to use them and repeat them again. Of course, not parrot learning or rote learning or learning by heart. You forget about memorization. You must extend your reading. Read and read. You must become a voracious reader, and do not read anything. Do not read, for example, novels or simple text or passages. Try to just challenge yourself with more difficult passages, and try to just highlight, underline the vocabulary that you used to know, but you have forgotten, or actually the vocabulary that you are tempted to use them in your the everyday conversation or something. And also you must have a language partner, to use your vocabulary in everyday conversation. And hopefully fortunately you attend this class 3 times a week, and therefore try to use some vocabulary that you have recently learned and but you have not got the chance to use them. And language partnership is another good technique to just use your vocabulary and revive them, because sometimes many vocabulary items, but they are dead because actually you cannot revive them. You need to revive the vocabulary. And also another good technique to memorize and to internalize, instead of memorize, I should say internalize vocabulary, is to just make some associations between the vocabulary items with the help of illustrations. At LELB Society, I should say that there are over 2,700 vocabulary, that is 2,700 vocabulary, and they come with illustrations, not ordinary vocabulary. I have not created an image for Apple or desk or computer because they are so actually simple vocabulary. But for difficult vocabulary, we have just gathered up to approximately 3,000 vocabulary items, or 2,800 or 700, I don't exactly remember, but they come with illustrations. And that illustration can trigger some imagery in your right hemisphere, and it can prolong the learning, or let's say retention. Retention means sustaining the meaning of the word for almost forever. And also another point, in my idea, forget about those nasty ideas such as creating a story, particularly in your own mother tongue. This cannot help you. What do we call it? I don't know.
Yes, I can get that.
This is terrible. Because you don't get the chance. For instance, you go to a restaurant, you want to order some food, you cannot just again make some stories about the words. It takes so much time. You need to use that on demand.
Well, you are getting the chance to think in the language that you are learning. If you want to just translate it to your mother tongue, you cannot be a native person if you are trying to just translate it to a second language.
Absolutely. And to my chagrin, to my astonishment, there are many people who just buy that idea. They succumb to it, and they just say, okay, what a good practical technique. But it's not. Technically, it's not. It can help you to just memorize words, but language is not just limited to memorization. It's not geography, it's not history. Language is another branch of science or knowledge. Sorry, I talked too much. So let's continue.
Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome. So reinforce your goals and strengths. So Nastasia, it's your turn.
Yeah. It's also a good way to use your affirmation at places like work or school when you need it but don't want others to hear it.
Yes. Let me see. Okay. Nastasia, I have this question for you. Why is writing your affirmations so important according to this passage, and also in your own opinion?
Affirmations are important because you can pronounce them every day, and your mind will...
My question is that why writing them is writing them down?
Oh, writing down? Oh.
Yeah, in this paragraph we just read that you need to write them down, and why not just practicing them orally?
Well, I think that in order to make it easy for our brain, just write it down. How to explain it? When we write something down, our brain immediately make it more important. Maybe memorize it. And so for affirmations, it's good to write them down to memorize.
Do you really need to memorize your affirmations? One, do you think that memorization is the key?
Well, let me explain it in this way. As much as I'm a fan of writing everything down because it really helps you, for example, if you have any plan, you can write it down. It helps your mental chatter to calm down. It helps you to focus more and think about that stuff clearly. But as I said previously, I'm not really a fan of affirmations, so I don't think even writing them down would affect anything in anyone's life.
Okay, yeah, as you said, actually it can increase the level of awareness by writing, and also Anastasia said that. And so affirmation, just if it is restricted in the oral way by repeating them again and again, actually it's not going to help you very much. But when you get the chance to write them down and to repeat them and again and again, and sometimes you need to update your affirmations. I should not be so stupid to just repeat some lines every day orally and then never try to change them, because life is not just something static. And I have this question for you, Alan. Alan, do you think that you need to memorize your affirmations, or you need to do something else in return?
I think I need to I need to memorize my affirmation. Yes, but I think in a day there are some subject come in my mind and go. Then I think when I write my affirmation or my goals, we can focus on them.
Okay, yeah. In my idea, my modest idea, we should not memorize affirmations, because if you memorize it, it becomes automatic, and when something becomes automatic, you don't pay enough attention to that again and again. So instead of memorizing your affirmations, try to just give so much consideration, excitement, and attention to them, which is not possible if you just automatically do something. So automaticity lacks enough attention. Therefore, sometimes in my idea, you need to just consider and also reconsider your affirmations, so that you will be able to see them in action, to see their efficacy or effectiveness. And also, I believe that again and again, even actually on a daily basis, you need to schedule or write down, or the verb update is the key word here. Update your affirmations, because, for example, you reach for a goal that it was a very burning desire, a very good, important dream for you, but you have actualized it. So you need to just cross it out, celebrate on your success and cross it out, and focus on some other things that you need to plan for. And therefore, affirmations are not static, they should be dynamic. Okay, so we come to the end of this session. Let me see. We just need to continue this passage. Here we can just have a discussion on things, paraphrase every sentence before the class. You must be responsible for any word I ask you about, and I said must, but there is no obligation. Perhaps I should say should. So, and try to just sleep on it. When you say sleep on it, it means that you need to think about it. It's not just, we're not here to waste our time. Okay, do you have any question or something?
No.